All right, we are live. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope what I talk about tonight is Christian.
I posted a lot mental health
I hope what I talked about tonight is somewhat enlightening, somewhat informative.
shit going
Uh,
on.
I'm going to be talking from the heart.
I'm definitely going to be talking about mental issues and depression.
Okay, I'm going to be talking from the heart. So, like I said, this week, yesterday, I purposely posted a lot of mental illness, women's health issues, because I wanted to set it up for tonight. And I noticed that a lot of you were looking at the post, so I was very thankful for that. But I wanted to talk tonight about how the stigma of being strong, the stigma of being strong, okay, the stigma of being strong and how it affects us mentally and physically. Um, Me talking personally about my issues. I'm 40 now. So I want to say from my 20s until 35, I had what I would call clinically depressive. Um, at the time, I didn't know really what was the problem. I know there would be many highs and many lows. What's going on here? Sorry. Okay. Yeah, hope everybody can hear me good. Okay. Um, it was many highs and many lows. And I couldn't figure out what was my problem. Let's get out of here. Okay, let's go back to Q&A. Okay, awesome. I couldn't figure out really what was the problem. I knew um, mental illness runs in my mom's and my dad's side of the family. My mom's side of the family is more open about our mental health issues. And my mom was, well, later on in life, was diagnosed as a bipolar. Um, so I knew something was wrong. Like I knew something was off in me, but I never got diagnosed till my late 30s, um, which wasn't that long ago. Um, when I would try to take medication, specifically birth control, like my mood swings would just be all over the place. So I always knew in the back of my mind something was wrong. And it took me losing someone very well. It was a series of losses, family members that I lost, but this one in particular, um, it took that moment for me to actually go to therapy and to get help. Um, at that point, it was really bad. Um, I just um, it wasn't any thoughts of suicide or anything like that. But like I said, it was waves of high and then there was waves of low. It was sporadic reactions to different things. I would, be so emotional about things that really didn't have to be that emotional. But I actually started going to a psychiatrist, and that helped me a lot. It helped me to understand that I have to put my mental health as my top priority. I had to, release a lot of negativity in my life. I had to embrace a lot of positivity in my life that I was not um, looking at. Um, I see we got one person in the chat. I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Christian Robinson left the chat. It was a lot of noise. I had to mute somebody. All I could hear was noise. I'm sorry about that, but um, and I had to, understand that it's okay to be happy. And I think that was my biggest thing. Like, I went through a lot in my childhood, and I felt like I had to put this mask on, like um, the mask of the strong woman. To be honest with you, like what happened. What happened didn't affect me. Um, you can hurt me, but you'll never hurt me again. And that's how my stigma of the strong black, well, excuse me, the strong woman came about. It came from hurt. It came from grief. It came from confusion. It came from a lot of things um, that were done in my life at a young age that I did not understand. So when you have a lot being thrown at you, you learn to protect yourself, and you learn to protect yourself quickly. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Let's see. Okay. And you learn to protect yourself very quickly. So I began putting on basically a shield to protect myself. I didn't let myself get too close to anybody. If I did, I would start, I would just start drama to kind of block them away from me. And I did it with ease. um, I did it for a long time. Um, and to this day, I'm very particular who I let really see who I am. Um, yeah, I'm very particular about who I let really see me. I guess the soft side of me. And the people that know that side have pretty much known me for years. And I can count on pretty much one hand. um, it becomes, but protecting your heart, protecting your mind, it sometimes becomes a double-edged sword. Um, because it is a lot of baggage on you to conceal everything. It becomes a tremendous bag to bear, and it becomes very heavy after a few years of doing that. And like I said, I didn't give the specific death, but it was my uncle. I was very close to him. Um, with people like me, we have a small group of people that we trust, that we feel comfortable um, letting in. So when you lose one of those people, it is very devastating. And it was very devastating to me because it was a sudden loss. It was, at the end of the day, you really can't prepare for a loss. We have people in our lives that have been sick for a while, and we kind of adjust to eventually these people won't be here anymore. But with him, it was very sudden, like very sudden, and it affected me like no other. And that's when the bag and the floor dropped. Um, Hey, Camille.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Any background noise? I'll close my door.
A little bit, but it's not bad. Somebody came on early. It was too loud. I had to mute them. But you're fine. I was just talking about um, how I started to know that I was affected by mental illness. Uh, you about to close your door?
I am. You hear me walking around?
I'll wait. I'll wait. No problem. Because I don't have a uniform way. I'm really just talking from the heart tonight.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. So I was telling my story on how mental illness affect me and my mom. I talked earlier about my mom being diagnosed with bipolar,
Mm-hmm.
and at a young age, I knew it was like you don't know exactly what the issue is, but you know there's an issue. When people say, yeah, kids are real smart, yeah, we were real smart. And I knew something was not right. And my grandmother actually raised me. And like I said, later on, when she got older, and of course I got older, she was finally diagnosed. But like I said, I always knew something was wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, there were from my 20s. Well, no, I'll go back to my late teens. My late teens to mid 30s, there was always extreme highs, and then I would have extreme lows. Things that would normally not affect people on a higher level would affect me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would take certain medication, and it would mess with my whole mental. I would just be off. So a lot of times I had to get off medication. Um, so like I said, I always knew something was wrong, but I didn't know. Okay, you can go to the doctor for this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or if I did, how would I explain it?
Mm-hmm.
And then to top it off, I went through a lot as a child. So when you go through a lot as a child, you start to put on this shield, and the shield gets thicker and it gets thicker and it gets thicker, where you try your best not to let people affect you. And when my uncle passed away,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the floor basically fell.
Mm.
It was sudden, and I was extremely close to him because with people like me, we only let a certain amount of people in, and it's usually people that we've known a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And when my uncle died, I went to a psychiatrist, and I was clinically diagnosed with depression,
Mm.
and that was the best thing I could have done. I believe that for women, it's hard to say I need help because we have to carry the burden of our kids or a husband or you know our brothers. We just have to carry the burden of everybody, and I don't know who assigns us this burden, but we just feel like we have to carry this load.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a time when that load gets so heavy that your back is going to break. Um, and that's what happened to me. Like I wouldn't, if something was going on, I wouldn't really talk to anybody. I was suspicious. Like if I tell you, who are you going to tell?
Right.
Um, there was people that I trusted, but I felt like I had to keep the stigma, especially at a young age. And then I felt like people, certain people wanted me to fail. So it was always like, okay, if I'm going through something, I'm still not going to say anything. I just handle it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through that for so long, and it comes a time where you have to stop. you're going to break yourself down physically, and you're going to break yourself down mentally. And that death was my wake up call.
Mm.
And I didn't tell anybody that I was going to go to a psychiatrist. I just, looked her up, and I made my appointment. And again, that was the best thing I ever did. And because you don't have to worry about somebody, going behind your back telling your deepest thoughts. These are licensed, educated professionals who are there to listen to you. And I thought I was going to be, what's the word, apprehensive of talking. But once I started, it just flowed out. And, those sessions helped me to become the person I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel much stronger because I had somewhere to release my thoughts. I guess people will make you feel like that's a weak trait, but it really is not. We're not here to handle the burden alone. And I notice, especially in our community, where mental health is such a hush-hush thing. Some things we cannot pray off. Sometimes we have to go to, either it doesn't have to be a licensed psychologist. It could be like a minister or, someone in your church that you feel comfortable talking to. Just somebody that you need to release that energy from. Because like I said, growing up in a household where my grandmother had a nervous breakdown. She had 6 kids she had to raise alone. And that wasn't something that was talked about until I got older and she got older. And then, but my grandmother was one of those people that she would talk. When she was in that mode to talk about life, she would talk about life. So that was, that was a great thing for me. But I think by the time I got to my grandmother, a lot had happened so much that I'd already created that armor. And, I was already in the mode where, I'm just ready to graduate so I can get on up out of here. Because it was just like, okay, I don't want to be a kid no more. Being a kid is not working for me. I need to be on my own so I could be happy. But at the end of the day, it took me a long time to be happy. And I'm happy now. I'm at peace now, but I'm 40 years old. I mean, that's a lot of time between, 18 to 40 to say, okay, I'm finally feel happy. And the people that I'm closest to see that I'm happy. Let me get myself together. I'm about to.
Okay.
Yeah, we really have to learn how to let people know, especially us as women, to say it's okay. It's okay for us to cry when things are not going right. I'm not saying complain, because I hate people that complain and don't change nothing.
Right.
But just for us to have a avenue to release. And either if it's a group of girlfriends that you trust, awesome. And you go out and it's just, or you gather together and that's your time just to just let things out with a nice glass of wine, because I'm an advocate of wine. Just we have to stop carrying that load. I really think it's a generational thing. We see our mom do it, we see our grandma do it, and so on and so forth. But you really have to, especially as an adult, you really have to look back and see those situations for what it was. Was my mom really happy? Was my grandma, really happy? Or were they just doing things that they felt like they were supposed to do? I know for me, My grandma had to do it. Like I said, her husband died at a young age. She had 6 kids to raise. No, that wasn't easy at all. But with raising kids, she went back and got a high school degree, got her degree in nursing assistant. She wanted to be a nurse, but she stopped at assistant, which is not bad for someone that didn't even have a high school degree.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, you raising kids through this whole process. You have a support group, but in the dark of the night, when that burden is on you, who do you talk to? Because you don't want anybody to see that you're going to break. Because sometimes, sadly, some people want to see you break because they're not happy. And, people like that, they got to deal with their own demons. But you're so worried about, okay, if I break, who's going to see me break? Who's going to think I'm weak? Who's going to take advantage of that? So through all that emotion, you have to hold all that in. So I know for a fact it wasn't easy for my grandmother. And I look at her as my role model, which was another reason I went through therapy. Because if I didn't handle that then, I couldn't be the mother that I am now. I couldn't be the wife that I am now. I couldn't be the friend that I am now. I couldn't be the woman that I am now. I couldn't be doing this video now if I didn't have some place to release that. I would still feel like, okay, I can't let everybody know that, I don't have it all together. I'm human. I'm not going to have it all together. I try my best.
Let me ask you this, because this is something that I have people with mental illness in my family, and one in particular I'm thinking about. And for me, I guess I don't deal with that struggle. My mom has always told me when I was a little girl that, hey, you're nonchalant, and she would say as a little girl. But I just, as a child, I just refused to let external stimuli and people change my happiness. I made a decision at a really early age. As a little girl, I went through a very tumultuous childhood, but I was determined not to let external things disrupt my personal happiness, internal happiness. Okay. And I found that, and I've gone through some very significant struggles in life, from homelessness, and being a single mom, having the love of my life die when I was 35. Well, I was 34. No, let's see here. 6 years ago, I was 32. He was 35. And my son was 12, 8, 12, 7, and 5. My boys. There was 12, 7, and 5. Yeah. And then right after that, his brother died 8 days before him, and his mother passed, and his father passed. It's like everybody on my son's father's side passed, and I was really like alone, one real single mom. But so when I hear of people not discounting mental illness, I have a brother with schizophrenia that I'm his guardian who lives with me. He has schizophrenia and bipolar. So, I'm always wondering if the reason that some people, not all, experience depression is because they focus too much on the problem itself, or they're a little too focused or too intense, or overly involved instead of seeing the big picture, instead of being more, people do gratitude and grateful for like the day, instead of being more focused on the things they're grateful for and things that have. Is it that they're not focused on that, and they're focusing on just the immediate problem? Not saying that this kind of that is not a real problem, but the focus on it is so much that it consumes them, and that's what causes the depression.
Now, I can't speak, of course, but like professional, but I can tell you from experience. For me, I would say you are right. A lot of the baggage I carried was from early childhood, like elementary school. just to give you a little brief history of me, my parents were extremely young when they had me. They did not know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of their growing pains was put on me. Like I said, my grandmother raised me because my mother left.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to figure out, okay, first off, I didn't ask to be here. Then you leave me, and you leave me for many years. That is a lot for a child to bear.
Mm-hmm.
Did I go hungry? No. Did I have, shelter? Yes. But did I feel loved? No, not necessarily.
Ah, okay.
Um, so I focus heavily on that, because you look around and you see your cousins, you see your friends, with their moms taking them to school or doing something, some motherly thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you look around and you don't have one. I focus on that heavily. So by the time she came back home, I pretty much despised her.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And it took many years. I want to say a good 2 years before my mom passed where I forgave her. When you're, like I said, I can only speak for me. When I was going through that, all my drama, family drama, parents drama was, why me? I didn't ask to be here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Um, why God are you putting me through this at this young age? I was angry for a long time. Camille, the person you know now, totally different from the person 20 years ago. I was angry for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a long time to let that stuff and bury it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, now, in the moment now, I understand why I went through that, which is crazy. Some people still say, oh, I don't know why. I understand exactly why I went through that, because it made me extremely strong now to do the things that I'm doing now. To get on this video now and
Mm-hmm.
tell everybody my flaws. To be there for my daughter. To leave a legacy for my daughter. To know what kind of man I should have in my life. And I married him. Everything that I went through was a lesson for me to learn now, in the moment. I live my life as I choose. I don't worry about what people think. A lot of people can't do that. They are so consumed by what people think. But when you hear negativity from a child,
Mm-hmm.
and when you learn how to tune that out,
Mm-hmm.
you're dangerous. You're dangerous,
Yeah.
because nobody can touch you. So everything that I went through as a child has made me who I am now as a woman.
Right. Okay.
So do I regret? Maybe. But do I really? No. It was hard as a child going through a lot of that. But as an adult, it's really my testimony.
Mm-hmm.
And some of our testimonies are not as drama filled. Like, I wouldn't have known all that stuff you went through if you didn't tell me, because of the way you carry yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But that is your testimony.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
For somebody that, might be going through the same thing, exact same thing right now, and don't know how to carry on. You probably will eventually talk to that woman and don't even know it. Um, but
You know, I really every day I try to encourage someone.
yes, you
Um,
do.
I tr- and not boasting or bragging or anything like that.
That's real. That's neither.
Yeah,
That's real because you don't have to do it. You can just.
but I just let them know. So listen, you know, business not may not be wanting to go where you want to go, but guess what? You've got the mind to do it. Or you know, it may have. Don't say it's gonna be a bad day. It's just 9 o'clock in the morning. You don't know what the rest of the day is gonna hold. The day will be what it is you say. Whatever you, the Bible says, out of the mouth, you know, you can speak blessings or cursings over your life. Now,
Exactly.
when you're in metaphysical terms, people talk about, you know, speaking with intention and, you know, that kind of stuff. But the Bible didn't say that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
speaking with intention and speaking blessings of your life, for me, that works. You could have just literally ticked me off, but I refuse to let you ruin the rest of my day by focusing on what it is you did or how what you did affected me at that moment, because you don't own my entire day. You didn't give
That's
me this day, you don't own it.
that's true.
And I refuse to let you have it.
That's true.
And
Everybody, you know, sadly, there was a point that I wasn't that strong to say those things, and there's people out there that just they haven't had the chance to really heal because they're still holding on to the baggage. They're still trying to hold on. They're still trying to act like nothing's wrong, and then that's where that mental illness starts creeping up.
yeah, I agree, because I mean I've been seeing that, and I see that. I
Mm-hmm.
have someone who's going through that right now, and I spoke with him today, and I said, you know, I mentioned him. I said, listen, just make sure you're not in that room trying to do something to yourself.
Yeah,
And they said, how do you know that? How do you know? How did you know to tell me that?
because I've
You know,
been there.
you know what I'm saying? I'm right. I said, I'm not speaking vain words to you. I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
you,
Mm-hmm.
if you can wake up one more day, you don't know what tomorrow holds for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you can
And oh,
press
sorry.
through the rest of this week, you don't know what Friday holds for you.
Yeah.
I just been going through this for so long, and I know it. I understand it. I get it. I do.
But it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
It is going to be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
It is going to be okay. It is not finished yet.
And to tell you one more story before we get off. Um, last week, Sunday, last Sunday, me and my daughter, we went to the flea market. We had a good little time. Driving back, and my cousin texted me a classmate of mine committed suicide. And at first, I didn't believe her because we come from a small town. I was like, I don't believe it. I need you to do some research. Show me some receipts.
Hmm.
So when I got back home, you know, of course, you go to Facebook to see what's going on. So I went to his page, and, you know, of course, to make a long story short, he did commit suicide. He hung himself.
Hmm.
And me and him were actually good friends in high school. And he went through a lot, you know, from his childhood. So knowing his history and knowing my history, I couldn't figure out why I was so sad. Like, you know, I've had a couple of classmates that passed away, and, you know, I give condolences to the family, but it didn't, you know, affect me, you know, like a family member.
Mm-hmm.
But this particular one affected me. It really hurt me because I know that he was a good guy. And I had to ask myself, I'm like, why am I so sad about that? And I was finally honest with myself that that could have been me.
Yeah.
If I had not dealt with my demons, that could have been me. If
Hmm.
I had not dealt with my mental illness and all the things that I went through and had a channel to talk, clinically, medically deal with my issues, that could have been me. that could have been anybody, of course him, that has some kind of mental issue. And I know for a fact he did. So just at the end of the day, that he put in my heart to say it's time for you to talk to somebody. Because anybody that's dealing with any kind of diagnosed mental health issue, that could have been them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes people are can be so ashamed, and we make them feel ashamed and embarrassed because of what they're going through, and because of how things may affect them. We tell, look, man, that ain't nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing, but it could mean the world to them.
Yeah.
You don't get the right to discount their feelings.
Yeah. You tell somebody how they're supposed to feel. You can't do that.
Yeah. You can't do that. You can't tell them that what they're feeling means nothing. You can encourage them to go through this and get past this, but you can't tell them that what they're feeling and experiencing is nothing.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing,
I do that too. You're fine. No, I'm not fine.
you make them feel worse, because then they're like, oh, maybe I
can't talk to you. I can't talk to you. No.
Maybe I am like this. I don't need to be here. No one understands me. No one understands what I'm going through. Yeah. I don't want to be here.
All of the above. All of the above. I totally agree. Oh, Camille, we had a good chat. I can go on and on, but I promised myself I'll do 30 minutes now. But I might carry this on to next week. I think we all know somebody or ourselves, really needs to talk about healing. Especially, we as women. It's not a color thing. I know lots of women, different nationalities, feel like they have to hold the burden of the family, hold the burden of the past. This is not a colored thing. This is a women issue that's been passed on from generation to generation. Luckily, like you said, you were able to see the whole picture and not focus on the small, things that you went through. But a lot of times, we as women don't do that.
That's
At
right.
the end of the day, we are emotional creatures.
Yeah.
So we tend to cling and hold on to anything positive, or a lot of times something negative. So I'm gonna think over the weekend if I want to carry this topic on. But I think it's a very good topic. We talked very freely about this tonight. So I might keep this one going for one more week, and then I'll switch to another topic. But thank you, Camille, for joining me. I love when people join me so we can talk and chat. It just makes it so much nicer. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but I like to.
I'm really glad I had a chance to join. I've been saying I was going to do it, and I was determined tonight to catch Tales of a Techie Mom.
Yeah. I'm going to change the time, though. I got some feedback from some different ladies to see what time works. I'm going to move it earlier so people can jump on and talk. So with that, good night, Camille, for joining me.
Good night.
And I hope what I talked about was enlightening and somewhat informative. And for everyone that's going to watch the recording, I hope that you got something from what I talked about tonight. Like I said, it was a very personal topic for me. I don't mind sharing. I don't feel like I have to be perfect in anybody's eyes, because I'm not. But I have a testimony to tell. And, I want all of us at the end of the day to be at peace and be happy. So with that, I'm going to say good night and have a great weekend, even though I'll be on Facebook tomorrow. But I usually say good night and have a good weekend, everybody. So good night.
Good night.
And thanks for joining.
Same. I'll see you next time.
All right. Bye bye.
All right.